Alright, what's going on guys? Daniel or Spidey here from PotatoLifeGaming, and welcome back to another Imprint showcase video, this time for Warp Mage. I'd like to thank Ambrosia, the Warp God, for making this possible, for the recordings, and for helping me understand each imprint set and how they work. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into the first imprint set, also known as Event Horizon. So, the 1 out of 3 set effect for this imprint gives you 2 stacks of Singularity that can be used back to back. If you use both back to back, each stack has a cooldown of 10 seconds, meaning you'll have to wait a full 20 seconds before having 2 stacks again. This imprint basically works exactly like Scion's Swordmaster imprint with Saber Slash. The 2 out of 3 set effect adds a mini gravity field after the primary effect of Gravitic Mire for roughly 4 seconds. It's pretty straightforward and very easy to see the difference, and could be pretty useful for things like slowing enemies and keeping them in place. Lastly, we have the 3 out of 3 set effect, which changes Core Overload into an attack that you can choose the location of its placement, instead of it being a projectile. After its placement, it will hold the enemy for 5 seconds with the Core Overload debuff, then explodes, instead of being a damage over time. The skill does look really cool, but it's important to keep in mind that with the imprint, it can no longer be enhanced after the use of Wall of Hurt, but can be enhanced without imprints. And that's really all there is to the Event Horizon imprint set, so let's go ahead and move on to the next imprint, which is the Black Hole imprint set. So for the 1 out of 3 effect, you'll need Magic Space Bullet. Magic Space Bullet buffs your reg attack or left click, and without imprints shoots 1 bullet per click, or 5 when charged by holding down the left click. When enhanced by Wall of Hurt, will shoot 2 enhanced bullets per click or 10 enhanced shots when charged. With the imprint, pressing the skill will now shoot 2 bullets instead of 1, and holding it down will now shoot 7 instead of 5. When enhanced, instead of shooting 2 when the skill is pressed and 10 when it's held down, it will now shoot 4 from pressing the skill and 14 from holding it down. Next, we have the 2 out of 3 set effect, which changes Chiru's Glitter Gun. Instead of needing to hold the skill down to continuously shoot, it now becomes a portal that is basically placed down, and will continue to shoot the skill without the need to hold the skill key down. Along with this, it can still be enhanced using Wall of Hurt. Since the imprinted version doesn't have a long animation for using the skill, it will also no longer provide Ultra State during the use of Chiru's Glitter Gun. Moving on to the 3 out of 3 set effect. This one deals with the Warp Ferocity buff. Normally, Warp Ferocity will give you 5% additional attack power regardless of the skill level, as well as 2% more crit rate per skill level, max of 10% more crit rate at level 5. The buff also normally only lasts 10 seconds. With the imprint, it changes Warp Ferocity so that when Planar Distortion is removed from an enemy with the use of Warp Ferocity, they are now held in place for 6 seconds, followed by a small explosion after the hold. Crit rate is still increased by 2% per rank of Warp Ferocity, but it also loses the attack power boost that it gives without the imprint. This is basically traded to extend the buff from 10 seconds to a full 60 seconds, basically allowing you to always have the buff on, keeping the 10% crit rate always active, which could be really beneficial for players that are low on crit. And that's all there is for the Black Hole imprint set, so now let's move on to the last imprint set, which is also Ambrosia's favorite, also known as 0 Point. The 1 out of 3 set effect for 0 Point changes Entropic Blades. Normally, Entropic Blades will damage enemies over time that have the Planar Distortion buff. After imprints, it will now shoot 6 powerful blades into the enemy at a very short range, while also reducing the cooldown of Entropic Blades by 5 seconds. Without the imprint, you gain a short period of time displayed by a spherical shield where you become invisible and lose aggro from enemies. When imprinted, that effect is removed as the skill now becomes a burst skill. You do however keep the air modifier buff, which allows you to avoid range attacks as well as gain a movement speed and attack speed increase for 20 seconds. For the 2 out of 3 set effect, Wall of Guns is now changed from a quick damage over time skill into a full-on burst skill. Instead of summoning a wall of multiple smaller lasers, it now shoots 1 big laser. When imprinted, it can still be enhanced, and it will now shoot 3 lasers instead of 1. The imprint for this skill does actually remind me a lot of Frost Mage's BFG skill, except on Warp Mage, each laser actually adds additional damage. So rather than just adding additional hit range or spread, it makes the enhanced version do triple the damage of the original skill. The 3 out of 3 set effect deals with Positron Beam. Normally this skill is more of a damage over time skill as the beam is active for a really long time, but will also grant you iframes for the entire duration. With the imprint, it changes from a beam into basically a giant spirit bomb that explodes over the enemy's head. It does do way more damage and becomes more of a burst skill rather than damaging the enemy over time like the beam does. Another thing to consider is while it does do more damage, it also removes the iframes that comes with the original skill, and it takes quite a while to charge up and explode. Once casted, nearby enemies will receive a debuff that allows you to do 10% more damage to enemies inflicted with the debuff. The debuff also lasts for 5 seconds. And that's all of Warp Mage's imprints and how they compare to no imprints. Once again, thanks to Ambrossia for all the help in making this video. Hope you enjoyed watching. Remember to leave a comment down below if you play Warp Mage and which imprint is your personal favorite. And I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!